Hi, everybody. This is Edie Graziani. I am the author of War in My Town, and I'm going to be doing a bit of a reading from it just to get you familiarized with the book in case you're studying it. If you need any more information or if you want to contact me, you can go to my webpage. It's egraziani1.wixsite.com/egrazianiauthor, and you can go to the contact page, and there's a place there where you can email me, or you can go to the publisher page, secondstorypress.ca, and if you get to the menu, it says books, so you click on books, and then you go to teen books, and once you click on that, it'll take you to a selection of teen books, and War in My Town is right at the bottom. If you go there, there's a book trailer, there's a bit of a a synopsis of the book, and if you wish, you can go to the teacher's guide, and it has a little bit of background and meaning, and maybe a little bit of preparation before you read the book. So I'm going to start reading it. It's called War in My Town, and I'm on page 1 right now. Preface. This book is based on the personal accounts of my mother, Bruna Pucci Guazzelli, and father, Edo Guazzelli. The events in Elio, pronounced Elio with a silent G, a village in northern Tuscany, occurred during World War II between the spring of 1940 and the spring of 1945. But it is important to understand a few things before the story is told. I'm a first-generation Italian-Canadian. I was born, educated, and raised in Canada. In addition to having been blessed by my parents' decision to emigrate here in 1958, there were also many advantages to being raised in an Italian household. First of all, the food was great. Second, I could always count on boisterous family gatherings in which cousins, aunts, uncles, friends, and paesani, which means fellow villagers, were unconditionally welcomed and expected. Third, our Italian culture and history was a regular topic at the dinner table, and both my brother and I listened respectfully to the stories my mother and my father proudly shared about their younger years. Listening to them as a child, their stories fascinated me. As a teen, I admitted they were a little annoying. As an adult, I began to appreciate them. Today, I'm grateful to have heard these accounts and to know where my parents came from. The stories that stayed with me were the old retellings of events that took place in their northern Tuscany village during World War II. These narratives, as with most things in life, range from the tragic and the appalling to the awe-inspiring. Tragic because war means killing the enemy, and that's in quotations. The enemy is always a group of individuals, men, women, and children, the elderly, and the infirm. Appalling because of the cold-hearted, systematic, and merciless campaign of Jewish genocide that began in 1933, Nazi Germany, under Chancellor Adolf Hitler, and resulted in the murder of some 6 million innocent people by the war's end in 1945. We know why World War II was tragic and appalling, but why awe-inspiring? I think that because of the triumph of the human spirit and the power of the will to live. It is a testament to the resilience and resourcefulness of people and the power of love for family and friends, staying together to overcome the upheaval of war and becoming all the stronger. It is a tribute to the unselfish willingness of people to assist one another in times of profound adversity. It is a witness to small, everyday miracles, such as a young girl growing into womanhood despite the turmoil surrounding her. What happened in my mother and father's native Italian village during the Nazi occupation was not unique. There must have been millions of similar stories. What made them so special to Bruna and Edo was the fact that retelling these events kept the people who perished alive, for them and for the next generation. Their essence and spirits lived on in my parents' memories. we still feel them near us when we speak of them kindly and lovingly. For this reason, I am retelling my mother's memories. None of the people I have written about are fictitious. They are 100% real. The events that took place in the village of Elio before and during the Battle of Garfagnana on the Gothic line in the last days of World War II need to be told. My mother claimed that sometimes when we only look at the big picture, we lose sight of the important little things. She was right. Though I studied wars from the Dark Ages through to the First and Second World Wars at university as a history major, I rarely focused on the people, the individuals who suffered and died, and the lives that were lost. For each death in each war, there was a family shattered, a lifetime of wonder stolen, dreams unfulfilled, future generations unrealized, a story incomplete. Humanity should not lose sight of this fact. My mother's story starts on the eve of Mussolini's declaration of war on France and Britain in 1940. But war in Europe had begun long before that. And although this is a story of an Italian village and the common people victimized by Nazi soldiers, not all Italians were victims. Italy was a fascist nation, allied with Germany as one of the Axis nations. Initially, racism and anti-Semitism was not part of an Italian fascism, though it was part of Nazi fascism. Unlike Hitler, Mussolini was not as interested in genocide, but eventually Mussolini adopted these terrible racist policies too. Adolf Hitler and his fellow followers believed that they were the so-called superior Aryan race, and that all inferior people, such as Jews, Roma, which some may refer to as gypsies, and disabled people, should be killed. Within Germany, the Nazis began waging a war on the Jewish people by creating unfair laws and restricting their freedom. At first, Jewish people and other non-Aryans were not allowed to practice law or work in the civil service, to become journalists or own land. All Jews had to wear stars, and Jewish children were no longer allowed to go to school. Later, the laws became more deadly. The Nazis established the first concentration camp for Jews in Dachau in 1933, and by 1945, that number would grow to more than 1,000 camps throughout Europe. As Germany invaded other nations, these laws became the laws of those countries too. Under Benito Mussolini, Italy joined forces with Nazi Germany. After becoming increasingly disenchanted with their leader, the Italian people revolted against him and put him in prison. Under a new leader, all of Italy surrendered to the Allied nations at that time: Great Britain, Canada, the United States, Russia, and the opposing French forces from July to September 1943. But soon after, the Nazis captured and occupied central and northern Italy, including Tuscany, where this story takes place. Mussolini was freed and again came into power in this part of Italy under Nazi Germany. On October 13th of 1943, 1 month after Italy surrendered to Allied forces, it declared war on Nazi Germany, its one-time Axis partner. Now the battles between the fascist Axis and the Allies were heightened, and in 1945, the Gothic Line was one of the last European fronts in World War II. The Gothic Line passed through the Garfagnana region in northern Tuscany, where my mother's village of Elio is located. So now I'm on page 5, and at the bottom of page 5, you can see a picture of Elio in the Garfagnana area of Tuscany. Poggetti, which is my family home, is the darker house at the lower far right. I'm on page 6 now, and here you can see a picture of the map, which represents Europe at the time during the war. And here you can see that Italy is just about cut in half by the Gothic Line, and Elio is positioned right in the middle of it. So it reads, "My hope is that in passing on her memories, the people my mother recalls will not be lost. Maybe her little corner of the world and the everyday heroes who still inhabit her stories will live on in others." I'm on page 7 now, and this is part 1, Italy before the war. Benito Mussolini, or Il Duce, the Duke in Italian, as he was called, first rose to power in Italy in the 1920s. After World War I, there was much unemployment, poverty, and bitterness amongst the Italian people. Amidst the suffering, Mussolini made promises of a better life to the workers, farmers, and businessmen. He was a strong speaker, and he took advantage of the chaos in Italy at this time. Though he was elected by the people, once he was in power, Mussolini became a brutal dictator, took control of the army, and enacted laws so that no one could speak against him or oppose him. He created the Fascist Party. This was the beginning of fascism. The Italian word fascio, meaning a bundle, is a symbol of strength through unity, and the image of an axe in a bundle of rods became the emblem of the Fascist Party. Under Mussolini, the party combined violence and bullying to gain control of the Italian government. Critics of Mussolini were beaten up by his supporters, the Black Shirts. Newspapers that didn't support him were shut down, and political rivals who criticized him were intimidated by his armed Black Shirts. As Mussolini's power increased, he began invading other nations. He believed that it was Italy's destiny to expand, just as it had during the Roman Empire. Germany was also in economic disarray after World War I. By 1933, Adolf Hitler, called the Führer, the leader in German, had modeled his government after Mussolini's fascist government. Hitler created the Nazi Party and took power in Germany. He and his henchmen, called the Brown Shirts, crushed everyone who did not agree with the Nazis, first inside the country and then outside. Hitler began building his military and secret police, conquering as many nations as he could. While many countries opposed him, some countries like Italy joined him. Italy and Germany formed the Axis, an alliance between nations, in November of 1936, even before Italy joined Germany in war. The Axis nations would later include Japan. The Axis began aggressively invading and occupying nations in Europe and the South Pacific. These antagonistic actions resulted in the retaliation of other nations, the Allies, which led to World War II. Our story begins before Mussolini's declaration of war. Though war in Europe had begun long before in my mother's remote village of Elio, it was still a peaceful time, untouched by the turmoil in the rest of the world. But all things change. For the citizens of Elio, change would come gradually once a new war began. So, my friends, that's enough for today, or for now. If you wish for me to continue to read chapter 1, please let me know. You can go to my website, and you can send me a message through email. That's perfectly fine. Or you can go to secondstorypress.ca, and you can go there, and you can also have a look and see where my other social media platforms are. You can search for Graziani on Instagram or on Twitter, and if you wish, you can contact me through my webpage. Okay, so thank you very much for staying with me today, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye. My friends, just as a reminder, my website is egraziani1.wix.com/egrazianiauthor. Okay, thank you so much, and have a wonderful day.